So there's a lot of good shows out there that provide a lot of good information that are very well researched. Although when you look at those shows and you really dive deep, unfortunately, whether it's right wing or whether it's left wing, if it's a political show, they have a particular agenda. And they don't go out there to find the truth. They go out there to prove their point, regardless of the truth.
This is the Kevin Trudeau Show.
I am exposing the corruption in government and in major multinational corporations. We're telling you the things that they don't want you to know that will make your life better.
This show is in the process of improving in many, many ways, and it's a great show, as you know. We provide you great information that you really can't get anyplace else from other podcasts, and there's a lot of great podcasts out there. There are podcasts that share information, let's say conspiracy theories, a lot of political talk, and most of it is right-wing political talk. Steve Bannon, for example, and he's in prison now for contempt of court. No kidding. They want to silence him. Alex Jones, obviously conservative or right-wing conspiracy theory about kind of the shadow government that really controls things. So you have the political guys who do podcasts, Tucker Carlson, Levine, look, the list could go on and on. Even Russell Brand, who broadcasts both on YouTube for a little bit, and then because they'll ban him easily, he goes to Rumble. And we're probably going to do that same thing as well. And so you have a lot of those type of podcasts, and some of them are very informative. They do a lot of research. They're very well funded. They have a large research team. This show has no research team. It has me and one guy. We don't have the money. We need more partners in the Kevin Trudeau fan club. We need more people to make contributions to the Kevin Trudeau fan club. We need more of you to purchase the money processes and the relationship processes and the Guru Kev book from the Kevin Trudeau fan club. We need more of you to make those contributions. So we don't have the funds. It's a little bit slow going over the last few months, improving every single week. Great, but we need to do better. And that's really going to come from your help. Our funding is limited. So there's a lot of good shows out there that provide a lot of good information that are very well researched. Although when you look at those shows and you really dive deep, unfortunately, whether it's right wing or whether it's left wing, if it's a political show, they have a particular agenda. And they don't go out there to find the truth. They go out there to prove their point, regardless of the truth. There's an old saying that says, "I'll never let the facts get in the way of a good story." And it's absolutely true. I remember back, I think it was in 1979, Amway Corporation was really exploding across the United States. Free enterprise was what they were promoting. And they were saying, hey, look, you can now, with Amway, get into a business of your own. You can sell soap and cosmetics and supplements. Back then it was mostly soap. That was their best-selling products. And they said you could sign up and become a distributor of Amway products. You can sell some products in your local area to your friends, relatives, and neighbors and make a little profit. But you could also recruit other people to also become distributors and encourage them to sell some products to their friends, relatives, and neighbors. And if they do, you'll get a royalty override. You'll get a commission override on everything that they sell. And so it was a business opportunity, and it kind of started the multi-level marketing concept where I could sell some products and recruit you. You could sell some products, and I would get a commission override on everything you sold. And if you recruited somebody, I could get a percentage of everything they sold. And if they recruited somebody, I could get a little percentage of everything they sold. And therefore, I could start developing some residual income, and it was great. And a lot of people made a lot of money. 60 Minutes decided that they wanted to do an article or an expose on Amway. They had no interest in investigating what Amway was, who Dexter Yeager, their top distributor, who he was. They weren't interested in getting the facts of were people making a lot of money? What are the facts? They had no interest. And I know this because I was there. They had an agenda. And here's how it works in the media, whether it's a podcast today or 60 Minutes back then. The producers said, we want to produce a segment that shows Amway is a scam. So let's produce that segment. Do you understand that? They're not saying we want to investigate the Amway phenomena and report on what we found. That's not what their interest is. They said we want to produce a segment showing that Amway and Dexter Yeager and all the big promoters in Amway are frauds and Amway's a scam. That's what we're going to produce, regardless of what the facts tell us. And that's what they produce. It was a lie. It was deceptive. It was misleading. It's not journalism. It's misinformation at the highest level. It's fraud. 60 Minutes committed fraud, and they do it every single time. ABC News, NBC News, CNN, Fox News, the BBC, all around the world. I don't know all the news networks around the world. You do. Many of you are watching in European countries, South American countries, African countries, India, Morocco, all over the world. It's the same all over the world. The facts are not what journalists are trying to promote. They're trying to promote an agenda. Period. End of story. And so the challenge is there are other podcasts out there that have an agenda and they're not looking at the facts and reporting to you what the facts are. They have a particular agenda. I was just on the plane and the wonderful woman next to me used to be in the news industry at the highest levels. And she was telling me exactly this, how they just jump. And she was in the news. I think it was NBC. It could have been ABC, but it was one of the top networks at the highest levels. And she said, yeah, forget the facts of the story. If we want to promote racism, if we want to promote that black people are criminals and violent, we are going to make sure that news stories promote that regardless of the facts. And she went on to tell me a story about how the news organization, without getting the facts, without getting things verified, they violated all journalistic protocols. They reported that a black man shot this man's wife while they were both in a car. This man, white, and his wife, white, were driving, and a black person came up and shot the wife and killed him. And shot the guy, but he survived. That was what was reported because that's what the guy said happened. No witnesses, no verification. At that time in Boston, which is where it was promoted, there was a desire to prove that black people were violent criminals. And this was a perfect opportunity to do so. It turns out that the man made up the entire story. He shot his wife and he shot himself to take himself, and he blamed a black person who didn't do anything. What was sad, this woman was telling me, is that the news executives, the reporters, were complicit in the lie because they didn't verify anything. They wanted it to be true, therefore they were promoting it as true. And when the truth came out, it was almost as if the truth didn't matter. They didn't report the truth in the same way and as aggressively as they promoted the lie that a black man killed this white woman, which didn't happen. So this goes on all the time. And so the point is, when you're watching some of the very excellent podcasts, which give really good information because they're very researched and they show you the articles and our video, and they do a big job because they have a staff of 12 people that they're paying full time. If you want that on this show, then you have to go to KevinTrudeauFanClub.com, KTFanClub.com, and make a contribution and become a partner or up your partnership, because that's the money that's used to pay for this. Those shows have that financing. But they do, in many cases, have an agenda, regardless of the truth, and they don't want to do it balanced. So our show is a little different. When I start researching things, which I do personally by making phone calls to my insiders, I'm sharing with you the facts. There's not an agenda here. I'm not left-wing liberal. I'm not right-wing conservative. I'm not libertarian. You could say there's a little bit of all of that. You know, do I have compassion for homeless people? Of course I do. It's a travesty that homeless people are on the street. Is it the responsibility of the government to take care of them? That's an argument. That's a discussion. Is it the responsibility of you and your tax dollars to pay for illegal immigrants' housing and medical care? I don't think so. All right, now we can argue about that. But I don't think that the taxpayers of America should be paying for $300,000 or $400,000 or $500,000 apartments for illegal immigrants or homeless people. I think that's a little outrageous, which is what's going on here in California. They built a building funded by the taxpayers for illegal immigrants, and each unit costs $500,000. So a person comes in illegally into the country, they break the law, they don't come in legally, and they're given a $500,000 apartment. And you, the taxpayer, paid for it. Look, there's a lot of things like that we can argue about. The point is, there's an agenda. And there's a lot of podcasts out there. Joe Rogan has a great podcast. He has guests on every single time, and they're very lengthy, very in-depth, sometimes entertaining, sometimes very, very informative. Obviously, people love that. And there's a lot of good broadcasts. We just brought on, and one of the reasons why I'm here in California, a top Hollywood producer friend of mine. He's produced movies. He's also produced many of my TV infomercials. And he was on this show, John Denny. He was a guest on this show the last time I was in Beverly Hills. Some of you may have seen him as a guest on the show. That was after we finished the Global Information Network Summer Conference. John is brilliant, and he's done incredibly well. He's incredibly successful. He's incredibly well connected in the movie and television industry. He's incredibly talented. He's a loyal supporter of mine. He's completely different politically. He's an absolute left-wing liberal, and I love him. And we have very good, spirited conversations all the time about politics and policy and Kamala versus Trump versus RFK, et cetera. It's a lot of fun. And it's stimulating. It's mentally stimulating. It's challenging. It gets you to push the envelope. It gets you to really think and really think, is my thought well thought out? Is there some facts to back up my position here? And it's just a wonderful relationship. He loves this show. He loves free speech. He loves the way I present the information about a whole variety of topics. And he has decided to come on almost in a volunteer capacity to be the president of the Kevin Trudeau Show and take it over and really take this show to the next level in a whole host of areas, so we can get the subscribers up and the views up, get the show production quality up, and do a whole host of things with all of his contacts. He said there's a lot of people in Hollywood here that are big supporters of mine in the film and movie industry that may be also willing to volunteer and get involved in help in the various production aspects of the show. So there's a lot happening that's very, very positive. Hi, I'm Kevin Trudeau. This is everything they don't want you to know about to improve the quality of your life. Broadcasting every Monday and Wednesday, 2 days a week now. Monday and Wednesday at 1 o'clock Chicago time. Make sure you tune in and subscribe to the channel and share these shows with everyone you know.